Welcome back to Cody Talks NFL, presented by Blitzalytics.com. And now, here's your host, Cody Manning.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Cody Talks NFL. It's the second episode, and I'm here to make sure you're on top of everything for all 32 teams. Starting with the three biggest pieces of news that dropped throughout the week. Zeke Elliott, he agreed to a contract extension with the Dallas Cowboys. It's a 6-year extension worth up to $90 million and has $50 million in guaranteed money. It's great for both sides. Zeke gets the number he wants, and Dallas gets their running back right before week 1 so they can try to get on this big playoff run and try to get to the Super Bowl. Now, with the contract situation, they really don't have an out until 2024 per over the cap. It's not really logical for them to release Zeke until then. If they would release him in 2024 for any reason, it would result in $2.6 million in dead money. Now, the final 2 years of his contract does have $0 in dead money. So if for whatever reason his talent drops off, his body just can't take the beating anymore, and he's always banged up, they could get out of this contract in the last 2 years. Now, if for whatever reason, whether it's off-field issues, injuries, or just his talent has dropped, and they need to get out of that contract, 2023 would cost them $10.8 million. So that's why they're probably going to hold on to Zeke until the 2024 season, unless, we don't know what will happen in the future, and a team maybe offers them a lot and they're willing to take that contract on. Now, what does this mean for their other the other two in the triplets, Dak and Amari? Dak and Amari are entering the last year of their rookie contracts. I honestly think they need to get Dak on an extension now before this weekend. Otherwise, they're probably going to let him play out the rookie year of his contract. And if Dak falls out, they're either going to have to franchise tag him or offer him a significant contract, because the reports do say that Dak wants to get paid more than the guy I'm about to talk about, in Jared Goff. I honestly kind of see it. They're going to let him. Unless something comes out in the next 2 days, they're probably going to let him play out this contract, probably get franchise tag, or even move on if he plays terrible. As far as Amari Cooper, the understanding I've always had is that they'll probably try to get his contract extension done in the middle of the season. Based on some reports over the last few days, Amari is probably waiting for this Julio Jones contract. And once Julio gets his contract, that will help Cooper gauge the number that he wants to ask from the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the guy that's going to be the odd man out will be their D-back Byron Jones. Simply, it's just that they're not going to be able to probably afford him in the offseason, and there will probably be another team that can offer him way more money than what Dallas will be able to. Moving on to the second biggest piece of news is Jared Goff, the guy I just mentioned that Dak's going to try to surpass this contract, which I don't agree with, by the way. Jared Goff signed a 4-year extension worth up to $134 million and a NFL record $110 million in guaranteed money. That does sign him through the 2024 season. There are no extra details of the contract right now, so I don't know if there's any potential outs in the next few years. But Jared Goff, at the end of the day, he does deserve that money. He took the Rams to the Super Bowl last year. He's got a connection with Sean McVay. And as long as he still shows that growth with McVay, it's going to be worth it in the long run. Because keep in mind, with the new CBA coming up, it's probably going to open up a lot more money for players like Goff. So I want to be surprised in 2 years we look back and Goff's contract is very minimal compared to what quarterbacks will be getting in the next few years. But yeah, good for the Rams to do it now and not let that linger on. And I wouldn't be surprised if more teams try to lock their quarterbacks and other players in deals before these deals, their rookie deals, get up, because it just creates unwanted drama, especially when you're a talented team like the Rams. They just want to get it locked in. And plus, one feeling I do feel why the Rams did this is they put the ball in the court on the Cowboys as well, make that contract with Dak. Moving on, last piece of news, guys. This guy won't go away. AB, Antonio Brown, the drama continues. We thought it was over. Psych. AB decided on Wednesday morning that he was going to post a letter that he received from Mike Mayock, which was fining him a bunch of money for skipping camp. And the thing is, guys, this happens all the time. On the latest Move to Six podcast with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks, DJ, he was talking about how this past month he was talking to people around the league, and some well-known all-star players have been getting fined for similar actions that AB has done. But unlike AB, they don't post it. AB decided to post his report card. I wouldn't do it, but he did it. And that's something that teams do not want the drama to go out in the public. So Mike Mayock obviously probably said something to AB about that. And according to reports, AB showed his frustration towards Mike Mayock, and he had to be reported that he had to be separated from teammates. And one of those teammates is Vontez Perfect, which is odd when you think about it. And supposedly Brown threatened to punch Mike Mayock in the face, and then he would continue to go punt the ball away. And he was forced out of practice. And then now the reports are he's facing suspension. Based on the language in his contract, the Raiders could actually void his $30.125 million in guaranteed money, which is crazy to me. So it's potential suspension coming for AB. There might be a potential cut, and who knows if somebody's willing to take that drama on, maybe even a potential trade. Now, according to Drew Rosenhaus last night during the Packers-Bears game, right before the game started, he was interviewed, and he said that he is working with the Raiders to avoid a suspension, and that Antonio Brown wants to play on Monday night. Now, this is getting recorded around 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, so who knows? While I'm recording this, some news about AB could come out. That's something to pay attention to, especially if you're like an owner of Antonio Brown in fantasy football, which I'll proudly say I don't have any shares of Antonio Brown in all my leagues. Now, moving on. Last night, we finally got football, real football, guys. Bears and Packers faced off. The Packers won 10-3. It was a very defensive battle for both sides of the ball. Chicago's defense was awesome last night, but the other side of the ball for Chicago was not. Trubisky underperformed. He was 26 for 45, had 228 yards and one interception. They could not get the running game going with Mike Davis and David Montgomery. The only really star of the offense was Allen Robinson, who was making some good catches throughout the night. He had 7 catches for 102 yards. But when they needed the offense to perform the most at the end of the game, Trubisky made a terrible decision, just lofting the ball in the back of the end zone, hoping that his guy would win a jump ball opportunity, and it just landed in Adrian Amos's hands perfectly. So Adrian Amos gets his revenge too, because he is a former Bear. So that was good for him. I'm sure he had a big smile after the game. And on the other side, the Packers, their defense looked good last night, but I don't know how much it was the Packers' defense over the Bears' offense. So I wouldn't read into that too much. It is week 1. Aaron Rodgers, too, he didn't really look that like himself. He looked uneasy throughout the night. He was 18 for 30 for 203 yards and 1 touchdown. And now he did – the thing is with Aaron Rodgers, all it takes is one drive for him to get going. And we saw that when he did that big bomb play to Marquez Valdes-Scantling, which kicked things off. Then he ended up finding Jimmy Graham for that touchdown. But at the end of the day, if your defense holds Aaron Rodgers to 10 points, you're supposed to win that game. I'm not sure about this Packers offensive line. They gave up, I think, 5 or 6 sacks last night. So I just saw what I saw last night is maybe two above average teams that really probably don't hold a threat to the rest of the NFC. Now, this is week 1. Let's not overreact, but if I was any other NFC team, I would not be scared to go face the Packers or Bears for the rest of the season. Now, moving on, I'm going to be going through the rest of the 30 teams, and I'm doing my game-by-game previews. I'm going to start with the it's 1 o'clock for me, first set of games, what we'll see on Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs are traveling to Jacksonville to face the Jaguars. With the Chiefs, there is a report from Jason La Canfora that they are working on a potential extension with Tyreek Hill. We might see that this weekend. It's kind of interesting to see how much they might pay him. Especially considering with all his off-field issues. So that's something to pay attention to. Other than that, their team's fully healthy. They had full practice. The Jaguars, with notable players on the injury report so far, is Marcel Darius, their defensive lineman. He's been limited this week with an elbow injury. And then Josh Oliver, their rookie tight end, has not practiced at all, so he probably won't play with a hamstring injury. As far as how I think this game's going to go, the Jaguars still got a defense, so I think this is going to be a slow game to start. But I'm not the biggest believer in the Jaguars offense, so I think Patrick Mahomes and company will find ways to score throughout the game, and the Chiefs defense will do enough to hold Nick Foles down to maybe a couple field goals and touchdown. And I honestly think the Kansas City Chiefs easily win this game. Moving on is the next matchup of the afternoon will be the Atlanta Falcons are traveling to Minnesota to face the Vikings. Starting off with the Falcons, there was a little weird quote yesterday that came out where Julio Jones kind of said he might not play if he doesn't get his contract extension. Kind of said he would play if he doesn't have the contract extension. Depending on who you ask, I don't know. I think they'll probably get the deal done. I think even without the deal, Julio will play. But obviously, if Julio Jones does not play, that's something to monitor, and that drastically hurts Atlanta's chances on the road. The Vikings and as far as the Atlanta, the only person for practice-wise this week is Julio Jones. Yesterday did not practice. They gave him a rest day. So other than that, there's no really notable players on their injury report as of now. And then with the Minnesota Vikings, they did sign former first-round pick from the Washington Redskins, Josh Doxson, to a one-year minimum deal. I want to look into that too much. They do need wide receiver depth. Doxson has all the talent, but he just never could stay healthy. So, I mean, if he can get healthy and he can produce, they might have another legit wide receiver 3 in that offense for Minnesota. Stephon Diggs was limited yesterday. From what I understand, he will probably be playing, because understand, if guys are limited in practice, it's week 1. No player in their right mind wants to miss the first game. So unless it's like a really bad injury that they're dealing with, I expect anybody that's limited will more than likely be on the field. And then Mike Hughes, their first-round cornerback from the 2018 class, who tore his ACL, he was limited. Mike Zimmer was quoted, Hughes is getting real close, so that will help. With that quote, sounds like he's not going to probably play this week. They got so much depth, though. They got Trey Waynes, Xavier Rhodes, Mackenzie Alexander. So they don't really need to rush him back. So I would not be surprised if he doesn't line up. Now, as far as like how I think this game will go, this could be a really good game. This could turn into a shootout. But I think the Vikings, because they're at home, do find a way to win. Really don't trust. I think they're going to lean on that running game as much as they can. And then on top of that, I really don't trust that Falcons offensive line to begin the season, especially with 2 rookies on the line. And the Vikings have one of the strongest defensive fronts in the NFL. So I think that defense is going to get after Matt Ryan, force him into interceptions, and it's going to be a long afternoon. I had the Vikings winning that game. Moving on, the Tennessee Titans are traveling to the Cleveland Browns. Starting with the Titans this week, they actually had a Ryan Suckup, who's been their kicker since 2014, had to go to IR. He had knee surgery in the offseason, and it didn't go as clean as planned. So they ended up signing Cairo Santos, who was with the Buccaneers in the preseason, but he lost the kicking battle to Matt Gay, who the Bucs drafted this year. Just a reminder too, with the Titans, they have Taylor Lewan. Their starting left tackle is suspended for the first 4 games, so that's going to have an impact on this game. And their current right guard, Kevin Pamfield, did not practice on Thursday. So they might have some line issues in this game. Browns really didn't have anything notable this week. They're one of their rookies, linebackers, Sion Taketiki. I probably messed that up. But he was limited this week, but he's just a depth piece. But other than that, how I think this game's going to go, that line right now for Tennessee is suspect. So they're just going to get after Marcus Mariota all afternoon. Their offense should be able to move the ball on them. I think this ends up being an easy win for the Browns. Odell will have his probably coming out party. I'm sure they're going to want to feature him in the first game. I mean, we haven't seen Odell play since last year as a Giant. So I think this will be Odell's afternoon. So let's see if the Browns can live up to the hype. Now, if this ends up being a close game, then I will wonder if they're good as people make them out to be. Moving on, Buffalo Bills will travel to New York Jets. No really relevant news with the Bills this week. As far as their injury report, Tyler Kroft, the tight end they signed in the offseason, he was limited in practice with a foot injury. I know they said he might be missing the beginning of the season, so that's something to monitor, but they do have their rookie tight end they drafted. So I don't really think that will have much of an impact on this game for the Bills.
The Jets, no really big news. Robbie Anderson, their wide receiver, was limited in practice, but they already came out and said he will play. Now, this is the big one, Tremaine Johnson, who is not even that really great of a cornerback, but is their best cornerback on that team. He was limited in practice with a hamstring injury, which is not ideal for a cornerback. He'll probably play because, like I said, most players will push through injuries to make sure they are out there in week one. But other than that, how I think this game's going to go, I think this is going to be your classic AFC East battle. I think that we're going to see some turnovers on both sides of the ball. I think we're going to see some plays by Sam Darnold and Josh Allen. I think John Brown's going to have a big game for the Bills, especially if Tremaine Johnson's dealing with a hamstring injury. It'll be interesting to see how this Bills backfield plays, especially with their first game without LaShawn McCoy. But I think the Bills find a way to win this at the end. Just because they do have the better defense. And not only they have the better defense, I think I'm a big believer in Josh Allen, so I think he helps find a way to lead them to victory. Moving on, the Baltimore Ravens are traveling down to Miami, and this is going to be a walkaway win for the Ravens. They had a full practice, no relevant news this week. Everybody's healthy for the Ravens. As far as the Dolphins side of the ball, Bobby McCain, their safety, is limited with a shoulder injury, and Albert Wilson, their wide receiver, was limited with a hip injury. I think probably more than likely, as I'm going to stress on all episode, is if guys are limited this week, like I said, it's week one, they're going to push to be out there on the opening day because it really sets the tone for the season. I think the Baltimore walks away. I mean, they're going to force the run with Mark Ingram, Lamar Jackson, and Justice Hill. Outside Christian Wilkins, the Dolphins' defensive front really don't have anybody with that type of talent. So I think this is an easy game for Baltimore to win. I expect them probably to rest their starters at some point in the fourth quarter. Moving on, the Washington Redskins are traveling to Philadelphia to face the Eagles. With the Redskins, we still have not seen Trent Williams. He has yet to report to the Redskins, so that's obviously huge. Darius Geis was announced that he will be the starter. I saw a report that somebody thinks that AP could be a healthy scratch, which honestly I really don't know if that really doesn't make much sense to me because we haven't seen Darius Geis take a full load yet. So I think even if you want guys to take the majority of the carries, you need to have AP ready if he gets banged up or whatever the case may be. Honestly, the Eagles is a team you probably want to play ball control, but that's going to be very hard for the Redskins to do without Trent Williams on the front. Last piece of little news is Jordan Reed still in concussion protocol. This is his 7th concussion of his whole football career. Honestly, the guy probably shouldn't try to get out there on the field, but he is. I don't think he'll play this week, and I don't even think even if he plays, it probably won't make much of a difference in this game. With the Eagles, no really big news. Derek Barnett, he was limited with a shoulder injury, and Alshon Jeffrey was limited with a bicep injury. I really don't think either of those players really make much of a difference in this game. The biggest thing is Trent Williams is out, and they got Eric Flowers at left guard. So I think the Eagles' defensive front's going to eat them alive. Case Keenum's going to throw picks. Carson Wentz is going to have a heyday. Deshaun Jackson's probably going to go off against the Redskins, considering that's the team he originally left the Eagles for. This kind of makes sense. They're at home. It's his first game back as an Eagle. I think Deshaun Jackson is in play for a big afternoon. I got the Eagles easily winning this game. Moving on, the LA Rams are traveling to the Carolina Panthers. Another piece of news with the Rams this week is they agreed to a 4-year extension with Tyler Higbee. It's worth $31 million, $15.5 million in guaranteed. It's top 10 tight end money. He's signed through 2023. I did find this kind of interesting because I was more of a believer in Gerald Everett, but apparently the Rams are more of a believer in Tyler Higbee. And if you're going to pay that type of money, he's probably going to see more snaps than Gerald Everett. So it'll be interesting to see how Higbee is used throughout the season. There was no injuries, no injury concerns with the Rams heading into the week. With the Panthers, no major news. Trey Turner, their lineman, has been limited in practice with a groin injury. I'm sure he'll battle through that. And now Bruce Irvin, one of their pass rushers, he was a DNP with a hamstring injury. And also I forgot to mention Sean McVay did come out and said that Gurley's not going to be on a snap count. So do we believe him? He kind of said that too in the Super Bowl. So
we will see. But Michael Fabiano on the NFL Fantasy Live podcast says he's got a source close to Mick Gurley and said that health was not a concern entering the year. I believe McVay. I think we're going to see Gurley of the old, and this is going to be a really good game. If you guys listen to my Monday episode, I'm a believer in the Panthers. I think they got what it takes to go to the playoffs. Now, the interesting thing too is if you look at West Coast teams that travel to the East Coast, they typically lose a lot, and the NFL was not thinking about the start time of this game. You got to think this is a 1 p.m. Eastern time. So what? That's like 10 a.m. I believe in the West Coast. So don't be surprised if the Rams come out on a slow start. I still think the Rams squeeze this out because they have more talent on this team, but this is going to be a close game. The Panthers got a strong defensive front. The Rams are rolling with 2 new starters in the interior of the line, so that's going to be the battle of the trenches. Is going to be how this game is won, I believe. But I got the Rams squeezing this one out. Now, moving on to the afternoon games, we got the Colts traveling out to LA to face the Chargers. The Colts did sign Jacoby Brissett to a 2-year, $30 million, $20 million guaranteed extension. So basically, we're paying Brissett $15 million per year over the next 2 years. I like that deal. It's a lower cap hit than if they were going to maybe franchise tag him in the offseason if he performs well. Say Jacoby Brissett balls out, that he could have commanded way more money than the $15 million. So I like that deal. It shows you're committed to him, and that it should show the rest of the team that you play good for us and you do what it takes. Chris Ballard will pay you. Now, supposedly, there's a report that Jim Irsay was offered $3.2 billion for the Colts. He did tweet out the Colts aren't for sale. I don't know what to read about that, but it is some news that came out about Indy this week. As far as injury report, Jamal Sheard still has not practiced with his knee injury. I really don't expect him to play this week. Kenny Moore has a thumb injury, Jordan Wilkins ankle injury, and Kamiko Toure have a neck injury. They're all limited. I know they expect Kenny Moore to be out there. I'm not sure about Wilkins. I think Toure will play too. But like I said, if you're limited practice, more likely you're going to try to be out there. With the Chargers, Melvin Gordon will not be playing this weekend. He has yet to report it. Supposedly they are shopping him, so we'll see if that can get done. That's a situation I will monitor on this show for you guys. But without Melvin Gordon, it's going to make things a lot more difficult, especially with that offensive front that won't have Russell Okung. The Chargers did agree to a 1-year extension with their center, Mike Pouncey. He is worth up to $9 million. Definitely was worth it. He's their best offensive lineman right now. Only guy really on the injury report note for the Chargers is Denzel Perryman, has been limited with an ankle injury. As far as how I think this game's going to go, I think this is going to be a really good game. I think it has shootout potential. I think it's going to come kind of like the previous game, come down to the battle of the trenches. The Chargers offensive line is not that great, and the Colts defensive front is pretty good now. So we'll see who can win that, who can get after Rivers. I think the Colts got a way to squeeze this off. I think the Chargers are going to realize that they need Gordon back in that building to win games. And I think the Colts, like I said, will squeeze this one off. They barely squeeze this one off. It'll be a close game, though. But I think it's going to be a shootout. Moving on, we got the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to the Seattle Seahawks. With the Bengals, Cordy Glenn, a starting offensive lineman, is dealing with a concussion right now. He hasn't practiced. A.J. Green still dealing with his ankle injury. He has not practiced. I don't think both those guys will be out there. The Seahawks, David Moore is yet to practice with a shoulder injury. Jaron Brown has a toe injury. L.J. Collar, ankle. Ziggy Ansah, shoulder. Mike Iupati and Dwayne Brown. Iupati has a foot injury. Brown has a knee injury. All those guys are limited. I think we'll see them. Maybe not L.J. Collier and Clowney. I'm interested. He was no practice on Thursday. I'm interested to see what type of role they'll have for him. I think he will play on Sunday, but it might be like last year when Khalil Mack got traded to the Bears. He'll be on limited snaps just to make sure they ease him back into football shape. With this game, I think it's an easy win. Seahawks walk away. Russell Wilson will ball out. And the Bengals have they pose no threat on the road. It's at home, opening day. The number 12, the fans out there will be loud. And I think this is an easy win for Seattle. Bengals just better hope that they just walk away with some healthy players. Moving on, the New York Giants will be facing the Dallas Cowboys. With the Giants, no major news. Mike Remmers, one of their linemen, he's been dealing with a sickness. Pat Shurmur did come out and say he's not concerned with that. With the Cowboys, besides Zeke, they also agreed to a 5-year extension with their offensive lineman, La'el Collins. It's worth up to $50 million and has $35 million in guaranteed money. That's huge. They lock up one of the big pieces of their offensive line. And Zach Martin, he has a back injury. He's limited in practice. I imagine he wants to be out there, especially returning from the injury or the disease, actually, that he had to deal with last year. So with this game, I think the Cowboys win. They're going to feed Zeke all afternoon. Even on the 20-25 touches, Zeke will get his. I think this is going to be an easy game for the Cowboys. I want to be surprised, though. The Giants do play them tough. For whatever reason, the Giants always find a way to battle with Dallas at the beginning of the season. It is that rivalry. But I think the Cowboys end up winning by at least 10-plus points in this game. And then you'll see Eli Manning probably throw a couple interceptions, and then people start questioning, when will we see Daniel Jones? And who knows, maybe we might see Daniel Jones on Sunday. But I have the Cowboys easily winning that one. Moving on, the next game, San Francisco is traveling out here to Tampa Bay. And when I say out here, that's because I live in Tampa, guys. For those that don't know, D Ford came out and said his knee will never be 100%, which is something you probably don't want to hear as a GM. Jalen Hurd, the rookie, has a back injury. He did not practice. He's kind of week to week right now. Jimmy Ward, their defensive back, actually broke his finger on their Wednesday practice, but their defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, does believe he will play. Nick Bosa will play as well with his ankle injury, according to John Lynch. And then their center, Weston Rickberg, was limited with a knee. He was removed from PUP. It sounds like he should be playing. And then their cornerback, Jason Verrett, who has an ankle injury, has been limited. He's always had to deal with injuries. As you can tell, 49ers injury list is ridiculous. As far as how I think this game's going to go, I honestly think I think this has shootout potential because I'm not a big believer in both secondaries right now. I think Tampa Bay finds a way to squeeze it out just because of Bruce Arians' his first game. They're at home. And like I kind of mentioned with that Rams game, San Fran is a West Coast team traveling out to the East Coast. Now, this is starting in the afternoon, so the time adjustment shouldn't be too big. But I think based on history, I think Tampa Bay will find a way to win this game, and mainly because I think the 49ers are just too banged up. But we'll see. This is another game that's to come down to the front. 49ers have a strong defensive front. The Bucs offensive line looked terrible in preseason, so if they eat them alive and force Jameis into turnovers, I could see the 49ers winning. Like I said, I think this is going to be a close one, but I have Tampa Bay barely squeezing it out to get their first win of the season. Oh, and I forgot to mention, with some Bucs, their news, they did convert $2 million of Mike Evans' base salary into a bonus money, so they did create $1.6 million in cap space. That's probably more to have more cap space if somebody gets hurt on their team and they can try to go sign people. Justin Evans, their safety, he's still dealing with that Achilles injury. Blaine Gabbert has a shoulder injury, DNP. Missing Justin Evans will obviously be huge. He's one of their better safeties on the team. Like I said, I already said about previewing this game, this is why I think it has shootout potential because both offenses can put up major yards. Moving on, Detroit's traveling to Arizona. Detroit has got a long injury list. Jared Davis, he's got an ankle injury. Trey Flowers, shoulder. Deshaun Hand, elbow. Rashawn Melvin, knee. Frank Ragnow, ankle. All guys were limited. I think all guys will, maybe besides Jared Davis, because that's something that sounded like he was going to miss part of the season when it first came out. Most of those guys will probably play. The Cardinals, with them, Marcus Gilbert, their tackle that they traded for, he's dealing with a knee injury. And Hassan Reddick, their linebacker, is dealing with a knee injury. They're both were limited. How do I think this game's going to go? Honestly, I think that this should be a game that Detroit easily wins. The Arizona Cardinals won't have Patrick Peterson or Robert Alford. So Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones have a chance to eat. Matthew Stafford should be able to throw all over the Cardinals defense. And then obviously if they can ground and pound with Kerryon Johnson and C.J. Anderson, should be able to keep the ball out of the hands of Kyler Murray. I I'm not a big fan of that Cardinals offensive line. And surprisingly, even though I'm not high on the Lions, that defensive front is really good for the Lions with the players they got there. So they should be able to get after Murray. As long as they can contain Murray and they can contain that offense, I think the Lions do win this game. But I also could see a situation where, we never seen this offense in the NFL before, so maybe they catch the Lions off guard and they walk away with a victory. Both teams are pretty bad in my opinion. Moving on to the Sunday night game, we got Pittsburgh traveling to the defending champs, the Patriots. With Steelers, no major news. Sean Davis, their safety, did not practice with the ankle injury. Mark Barron didn't practice. It was a coach decision. I don't have any more details on why that decision, whether it was disciplinary or just a rest day. With the Patriots, Matt Lacoste, their tight end, he was limited in practice with the ankle injury. Demaryius Thomas was limited with a hamstring injury. I really don't think any of those injuries affect the outcome of this game. With the Patriots being at home, Sunday Night Football, Steelers always struggle against the Patriots to beat them. I think the Patriots win this game. I honestly think they're going to win this game pretty easily. I don't know if this will even be a good game. I think the Patriots will find a way to move the ball easily on the Steelers, and the Steelers will be trying to play catch up throughout the game. I got the Patriots easily winning. Moving on, I'm not going to give my game predictions for the two Monday night games. I'm going to save that for Monday's episode. The Texans, outside those trades I talked about on Monday's episode, they have no really worthwhile news. Neither do the Saints. So do apologize on that, guys. We'll see if anything. I'll update with injury reports and whatnot on the Monday episode. Other than that, the only thing that's probably worthwhile with the Texans is supposedly Antonio Brown followed him on Instagram, and now he's following DeAndre Hopkins. So take that with a grain of salt. And then with the Saints, there's nothing really worthwhile. Moving on to the other game, the Broncos. No really worthwhile news outside that Mile High Stadium is now going to be called the Empower Field. As somebody that's always known the Broncos Stadium to be the Mile High Stadium, it's kind of weird to me, right? It's weird. I don't like it. Sorry, I'm a traditionalist. And then the Raiders, you go Google Oakland Raiders for me and try to find anything that doesn't say Antonio Brown right now. No, nothing really worthwhile to pay attention to outside the AB drama. Like I said, I will update you. Who knows? As of this recording, they might have broke that. They might have suspended him. Who knows? And then my wonderful producer, Rob says, what is the game to watch this week? You know what, Rob? It's probably going to make you happy since you're a fan, but I think that Panthers-Rams game is the game. I think it's undersold. I'm very surprised it was not a 4:00 game. That seems not only because the Rams are a West Coast team, but that seems obviously for example, right? Like the Buccaneers 49ers game, that's not really a marquee matchup, but that's still got an afternoon time slot. Same thing with the Detroit Lions and the Cardinals. The Rams and the Panthers have no reason to be a 1:00 game. So that does not make any sense to me. So I'm very surprised that that's not a marquee game for the afternoon slot. Especially considering the Rams are a West Coast team. Usually the schedule makers consider that when they put the time slots in when they travel out to the East Coast. And then other than that, guys, thank you for tuning in for the second episode. If you like what you saw, hit that like, subscribe button. We do plan on starting with this episode. I know on Monday we talked about future episodes, but we will have the audio version on the Blitzalytics podcast network. Please, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify. We got tons of podcasts on there. We'll throw the audio version on there of this as well. So that way, if you don't have time to sit there and use your YouTube to watch this, you can at least listen to it while on your drive to work or whatever the case may be for you. Please check out Blitzalytics.com. We have tons of articles coming out with every team. We have college football articles. We'll be having scouting summaries from our summer scouting coming out over the next few weeks. And then other than that, guys, thank you for tuning in, and Blitz out.
A special congratulations to Corey Blanton, who won the Blitzalytics anniversary giveaway. Your Bradley Chubb jersey will be there soon. Stay tuned to all of our social media accounts for our next giveaway. And thank you for watching Cody Talks NFL presented by Blitzalytics.com. Remember to subscribe and hit that bell icon to stay up to date on all things football.